Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Virtual's price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. We're gonna start on the daily chart here for Virtuals, where we are looking here at our impulse 1, 2, 3, and we're looking for a potential wave 4 and a 5 toward the upside. So basically, very obvious impulse 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 3. Of course, it can be only 3 waves toward the upside as a wave A. However, this impulse is not invalidated, therefore it is still playing as a wave 4 here and not as a wave B. And that means, of course, you might see, of course, a continuation toward the upside, of course, impulsively after having an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. A, B, and a C potentially here finished for this correction. A, B, and a C. Probably the wave C can still have one more leg toward the downside, where you might be, of course, in a diagonal here as for a virtual. But basically, on the lower time frame, if we dive a little bit deeper inside this area, the 1, 2 that we are looking at here right now, we can see that we have here potentially 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and a 5. Okay, finished one there, and A, B, and a C is this diagonal right now, where you are looking for a wave 4. Still can be, of course, possible, but as you can see, the price action has kind of left this trend, but still under, of course, this wave 4. It didn't took the high, therefore it still can be, of course, a part of the wave 5 if it is still unfolding. In case of a short-term bearish, still looking for the fib levels required for a wave 2. Don't forget that in this area we are looking at 0.38 minimum target for a wave 2 here, which is, of course, very interesting for virtual, that it just simply touch it and then move toward the upside somehow impulsively. We're gonna see this internally. Otherwise, if this doesn't happen and we don't take the low anymore and we are impulsive here, you might be in a 1, 2 and probably another 1, 2. However, I don't really like it that, of course, that you didn't took the high with the second 1, 2, because this looks also on the micro level as an impulse, unless, of course, it's gonna turn to something like WX and a Y and turning this into an impulse. It can still be, of course, ABC here, and therefore moving toward the upside after a wave 2. So what do we have right now as key level as a wave 2 here? I'm still looking for this range, actually, because we didn't took the 0.786, so there is still, of course, a possibility here to come back to the 0.786 before merging inside this area, so and taking the 886. What I mean with this, if we dive a little bit in this area here with the micro level, let me explain exactly what is going on. So on the micro level inside this block that we see here, we have first a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonal toward the upside, finished wave 1. We have a wave 2, and we're moving toward the upside, where we are looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So this is a perfect impulse as well inside it here, where you have finished a wave 3 and then following a wave 4, and finally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, taking the high with a wave 5, finishing wave 1 in the orange scenario. And that means, of course, that this is definitely an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. The wave 2 is perfect in time as well with a wave 4. So everything is looking perfect. So at least here you can consider that you have, for example, an A, B, and a C toward the upside, or you have a 1, a 2, and then 3, 4, 5, right? And after this, of course, we start to see something else as also leading diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a wave 1. Now this wave 5 for this diagonal looks a little bit truncated, as you can see. It didn't took the high, but still can be considered, of course, as a diagonal. Now if we can, like a zigzag, of course, we can consider this as a wave 1, wave 2, and then you got another 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, where you have a finish, of course, an impulse here. And with this impulse, you can consider a wave 3 done. You got correction, and again, of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toward the upside to finish a wave 5. By all means, this can be considered, of course, 5 waves toward the upside, impulsive without invalidation, and of course, looking like a perfect impulse. The only problem here with it is that it didn't took the high. Again, of course, it has failed to take the high, for the previous wave 1. But this is not a big issue. I mean, it just show like the momentum start to move towards the downside, and that is not a good sign, right? But it still can be like a 1-2, and you are in a formation of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 for a wave 3. Yeah, so it is also very possible that you might still in a formation for this wave 3. You need, of course, a wave 1, 2 here, right? So what I mean with this, if I turn this into somehow a smaller count, you might be here in a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish is this wave 5, right? And that means, of course, you might be in the orange scenario, which is your main wave 3. Very simple. But in this case scenario, as we mentioned also in the daily, that you still need, of course, to see a finish correction here, right? And currently this correction right now on the lower time frame is showing kind of like an impulse, right? So we see kind of like a 1, 2, 3, and then wave 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 8. And this is showing weakness, right? It's showing, of course, the final decision that you might get here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is, of course, an impulse that it might unfold a wave 8. What does it mean? It means that, yeah, very possible that you are in an A, B, and a C, or something even like bigger A, B, and a C. This can transform definitely to something like a W, X, and a Y here, okay? Because you are getting an impulse after an impulse as well. So I believe that this A, B, and a C is unfolding, and I would like to change probably this for now. Even, yeah, I think is much better to at least put it there. So W, X, and a Y. So the W is there where you have a zigzag, you have an X, you have another zigzag for a wave Y, which where you have finished potentially a wave B here. The wave B, of course, is unfolding a wave C towards the downside. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, the 1-to-1 fib level taken from the A here, if we take the A and the B, we see that the zigzag target can be exactly at the 0.786 in confluence. So this is very interesting as well. This is what I would like to show you guys in this analysis exactly, is that we are still, of course, in a potential here, confluence 1-to-1 fib level for an A, B, and a C, which is a target of a wave 2, where you might have finished wave 2 after an impulse 1, 2, and then continuation towards the upside. And therefore, I would say that, okay, this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 can be deleted, and that because anyway, you didn't took the high as a signal, and of course the momentum is shifting. So I would say the next target for virtual can be the 1.35 here, and it can be, of course, that it has finished somehow in ABC once taking, of course, this 1-to-1 fib level. So what you need right now is simply a continuation and extended wave 5 toward the downside. This is what I would like to see. A 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe the wave 4, of course, here 1, 2, 3, 4 is still kind of ranging. I would like to see a wave 5. Taking the low, at least, it's not even necessarily to touch at the 0.786. By taking the low in this area here, can still, of course, finish this correction and move towards the upside. So in a bigger view, again, if we go to the 2 hours chart, what do we mean with it? Again, this is the area, the blue area that I'm looking for, as we said before, to finish here a wave 1, 2. If the 886 has been taken, well, we have to start to consider that we might take the low. We might simply take one more low, which it might finish a wave 5, wave C, wave 2, or a wave B. And that means in all case scenarios, you're still looking for higher, whether you take this from there or you take it from there. And we're looking still, of course, for a wave 3 toward the upside, or at least a wave C, A, B, and a C in the magenta scenario, of course. That was it for virtuals. I hope that this was good enough to understand what we might have next. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.